There's a reason tracks known in the oval racing world as bull rings are popular. They're short, the action is relentless, passing is brutally difficult, and usually requires racing too wide with the odd bit of rubbing here and there to actually get the pass done. Now, imagine running it in a clockwise direction. And let's toss in a couple of big elevation changes. And then, just for fun, let's throw in one turn that goes in the complete opposite direction of all the others. Well, you have just imagined the minnily mighty bull ring of road racing, Connecticut's stunning Lime Rock Park. Now, it's carved into the ancient geology of the Sharon Quadrangle on the edge of the Berkshire Mountains. It is a small jewel, but one that sparkles well beyond its size. Welcome to round 8 of the new Full Send Sims Esports iRacing Spec MX5 Series, and to this true gem of a racing venue as we enter the second half of this debut season of SMX competition. To reel in the points leader Nicholas Rice-Puto, the challengers are going to have to overcome the truly unique challenges of the Road Racing Center of the East. Hi, folks. I'm Greg Kramer, joined by Kyle Heyer. Kyle, you know, the one word I should say, that always comes to mind with regards to this venue, for me anyway, is excitement.
Oh, I love this place. I mean, I always say it's like flying fighter jets in a cereal bowl around here. It's so fast. Lap times under a minute, big compressions and drops and huge elevation, as you pointed out. All of that, you're just surrounded by beautiful Connecticut mountains. This place, everything happens in a hurry, and there's nowhere to run, nowhere to hide, and passing can be a challenge. It is a great place for racing. One of my favorite tracks in North America, and it's part of that group of racetracks kind of that came up in the mid to late 1950s. Watkins Glen, Road America, Road Atlanta, Lime Rock Park. You throw those all in the same category because they're built into the landscape, and it's the true North American circuit challenge that I absolutely love. So really excited for this to be round 8. We're past the halfway point of the season. You mentioned that championship battle. Nicholas Rice-Puto leads the way, but just by 23 points over Camden Hibbett.
Yeah, it's pretty close at the top end, and then you've got Josh Soto sitting in 3rd, Beans Forster in 4th, Skip Brock in 5th. Here's the kicker. 3-time champ Morgan Burkhardt sits back in the 6th spot, but it's because he's only been able to make a handful of events due to his real-world racing schedule. And that means, we've got some other contenders. I mean, Skip Brock, as I said, is in the mix. Hayden Manis, Elliott Burton, all of those drivers are literally still within a shot of this championship. But right now, Nicholas Rice-Puto, right there in that gray 03, he's the only one with more than 3 wins at 5. He has a 93% ratio of top 10 finishes and 86% ratio of top 5 finishes with 12. That's how you just accrue points. And then you get those 5 wins. That's why he's got that points margin right now.
He certainly does. Camden Hibbett isn't here tonight, so we won't have to worry about him making some exciting moves up at the front, and same is true of Morgan Burkhardt. But Joshua Soto is 3rd in the championship standings. He is here. Beans Forster is 4th in the standings. He is here. So we've got that to worry about. And then also Cam Eben. This car, new paint scheme on board, this number 155 here this week. He's given us a great look on board his car here tonight as well. Cam just announced today his 2025 SMX campaign in the Real World Series, and this is the exact car he'll be campaigning there. So Real World competitor in this series with the same car, same paint. P8 in qualifying. Let's keep an eye on this 155 tonight.
Yeah, did you see that reaction right there? He had a car in front of him lose it, have a big wreck. He had to slow down and get out of it, and he was on a fast lap apparently. You can tell by his reaction. Just watch what happens. Up and over that, that'll catch him every time. And you look at his facial response there, he was annoyed.
Yeah, I mean, the good news is in 20 minutes worth of qualifying, you can make a lot of laps here already.
This is true.
The pole sitter, Joshua Soto, provisional pole sitter, has done 7 laps, which is,
that's amazing.
That's more than we've done in the races in the last couple of places we've been. So that is a benefit. Short track, a lot of laps. Others to note, James Newell has had a really nice season in that number 123, currently 5th, Trace Hance 6th. So those guys having a solid run so far.
You know, interesting, right now in the top 7, Josh Soto is the only guy who actually has a positive average change per race. Problem is, he keeps qualifying, usually. He's got 2 poles, but a lot of the times he's sitting back in that 6th, 7th, and 8th position. so he's making up ground. But this is a golden opportunity. I think he's sensing it here. If you look at where he is right now in qualifying, not up by much, 71 1,000 so far, but I think he understands this is an opportunity with both Camden not being here and Burkhardt not being here, opportunity for him to shine.
I think you're exactly right about that. And an opportunity to shine, it's coming out more this season because of the absences of those two drivers who in the past, basically won almost everything, amongst themselves. And you throw, Nicholas Rice-Budo in there a couple of times in Forster. But now, 5 wins for Rice-Budo, 2 for Hibbett, 2 for Soto, 2 for Forster. They're really spreading the love around a little bit and has made this a much more competitive season in the past. We got 5-6 unique winners already this season in 8 rounds.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's been a fascinating season. I think these new cars, in terms of the full Sims Championship, running this SMX configuration, more responsive, accelerate quicker, turn quicker as we hop on board here with Deacon Greenfield. I think there are some drivers that are just really enjoying this and relishing this challenge. One of them is Skip Rock, who's sitting second right now, as I said, was in the top 4 in the points for a bit, has slipped to 5th right there in that car. We've seen his speed over the previous 3 years, but this is the year he really seems to be putting it together. And, to me, the guy who's a little bit the outliers right there in that car right in front, the red, white, and black number 23 of Beans, because when he's qualified up front, he's got 1 pole this year, he's won. His problem is you look back at his average start again is 6.2, and when you're back there, it's just hard to fight your way to the front. And we'll see what he's going to be able to do here. Now, the other thing I wanted to ask you about, Kyle, is the fact that, now that was Cam. He got frustrated with another driver up in front of him having an incident. I don't know why he would have been lollygagging right on the line there after that, but that's a shame. But what I was going to ask is, this track is short at 1.5 miles, but the draft here is still big, isn't it? It
is, and you're going to use that primarily right here on the front straightaway, and it leads into your best passing opportunity down here at Big Bend. So you come down the hill, get on the throttle before the apex, ideally at turn 7, right as you hit that compression, and this is your best chance to make a pass. But everybody knows that, so they're going to go defensive. You're going to draft them down the whole straightaway, but really the only choice is to go around the outside, and that's a tough pass to make. But if you can keep the overlap there, you can do this in turn 3, dive up the inside and grab a spot and finish it here.
Yeah, if you're going to make that outside move, I think we need to start calling that you got to chin it.
Yeah, yes.
Because that's what Lena Chin does to immense effect in grid life competition, and did so here at this track. So we'll see what's going to unfold right now. But it's still Soto over Brock, Rice-Budo, the points leader, in third Forster, and James Newell. We've seen real speed out of James, and for him, he just needs to put together some finishes here. His problem is, you look at his stats, he usually qualifies near the top 5 on average, but he loses over 4 positions on average during the race. If he can straighten that little habit out, he's going to be a contender.
I think so. I think you're dead on about that. Should note also, interestingly, Beans Forster, no onboard camera tonight, so we're not going to get the heart rate preview. I wonder if that's on purpose, that is so he can totally focus in and just get dialed on, not have to worry about putting on a show for us. He could just go out there and really put his head down.
That might be, because when we go to him, we see him smiling every once in a while, and he can see himself, and I wonder if he's found that to be a little distracting.
Maybe. So,
yeah,
just an interesting note. And then we do have, who we don't normally have, Seth Spolman has given us a look over the shoulder here, which is a unique perspective. And
I just saw him Burkhardting it out of West Bend before the downhill.
Yeah.
Just basically running completely off the track and just keeping the momentum going.
Love the look at the shifter. Looks like he's got a handbrake over there too, or either that's a sequential shifter or a handbrake. So he's got the ultimate sim setup there.
Yeah, he really does.
Maybe it's not quite a full send setup, but.
Oh, and speaking of which, had a phone call from Mr. Kurt Schmidt about a half hour before we came on the air here, and he said, I hate to say it, I'm going to miss my first race.
Oh.
Yeah, they had a very last-minute call-up from the Concourse Club down in Miami for an event tomorrow, and they've been a really good client for Court. Court said, we just have to jump, and he said, so we're on our way to Miami, and he went, but I have a sim in the back here. And I said, oh boy, have your dad drive, you go in the back of the trailer. That's never safe, but go for it. But he said, yeah, we're going to have to pass. So, but he said to say hi to everybody.
That would be really exciting
Wouldn't it?
on the road. Yeah, we're going to miss Court tonight, but again, always a huge fan of his rigs, and we'll talk about them later, but all the support that they've got for this series I always talk about organization of iRacing leagues, because I've had the pleasure of working with over a dozen really well-run leagues over the years here at SimTV. We keep a lot of long-term relationships with those organizations, and this has just been a standout crowd as far as the level of organization that the series has, how it's run behind the scenes, the stewarding, everything's just done to the highest of levels, and I just would expect nothing less given what Court has done with Full Set Sims over the years.
Oh, absolutely. You know, you look at the quality, the build of those sims. He got all of his sim knowledge and building and training in military scenarios, and as a result, the quality of the build of his sims is second to none. And he also incorporates some pretty cool things into it. And they can make sims from a basic starter sim to an absolutely, replica of the inside of your car. I'll even put it inside a car for you if you want. It's just some remarkable stuff. So, as always, just a huge shout out to them. We also need to say a big thank you to Sawbelt. It's so nice for them to jump on board here mid-season. They've been talking about it for a bit. They finally made it happen. And, for over 5 decades, they've been known for quality and innovation. They do the most vigorous research and development for safety equipment. And it's great to have them associated with this series. Farah, once again, just a great supporter that came on board last year. Their second round is coming up next weekend, not this coming one, at Homestead. So we want to be thinking about that. And then, of course, we've got the two that were with us from the very first race. 3P Logistics with Frank Rodriguez and his group, race car storage, maintenance, and, of course, logistical support while you're away from home at an event. And Final Turn Motorsports with Rob Greenwood. Those two guys and their organizations work closely together. Also a full-service prep shop, Miata tranny builder, dyno tuning, the whole thing. And big thanks to them. And if you're wondering, where can I get some of that fine Sawbelt equipment? How about Wine Country Motorsports? They are the racer's resource for helmets, suits, gloves, shoes, seats, harnesses for over 30 years. And they're the best customer service in the business, because they actually answer the phone when the internet friends maybe won't even respond to you. So anyway, great group of supporters, and we're ready to go racing.
I was going to say, do you have any breath left? The list is getting longer and longer, which is great.
It is.
That's a great thing here in 2025 to have that many partners and supporters of this
fabulous
sim racing title. So really, really stoked to have those groups on board with us. As we get ready to do our short pace lap, only a mile and a half around here, first row, it's Joshua Soto and Skip Brock Jr. Greg, good front row there. We'll watch them roll from first and second.
Yeah, big opportunity for both of them to maybe take a run at that gray car starting third. Points leader Nicholas Rice-Pudo in the 0-3, the number 23 of Beans Forrester also in the championship battle. Big opportunity for him here as well, Kyle.
Yeah, James Newell, we talked about him, and the number 123, he'll roll off in 5th place. Trace Hance, strong qualifying effort. He'll start 6th place in that car on row number 3, or he will not, because he did not take the grid. He'll start from the pits if he starts at all.
Well, that's a shame. I was going to say he's a bit of an outlier here. He hasn't run the whole championship, but when he runs, he's wicked quick. So that'll move up Elliott Burton, who I think is one of the rising stars in this championship, in that multicolored number 6 right there. And then Cam Evan, who we saw in qualifying there in that blue and white 155, starts 8th.
9th place, Andrew Gilliland rolls off in the inside of row 5 of the 91. Dylan Lee starts 10th in the number 2, followed by Ian Anderson, Deacon Greenfield in row number 6, Miles Brown and Seth Spolman, Greg, in 13th and 14th.
Then starting 15th to 9 of Daniel Higgins, 16th to 50 of Stephen Bleffin, 17th the 89 of Jim Friedhofer, and 18th our friend from far, the 717 of Jose de las Casas.
Last couple of rows here, 23 drivers on the grid. Dave Perez starts 19th place in the number 100. Joshua Clatterbuck 20th in the number 101. Then it's Andrew Gaiata, Wayne Buttermore, and Josh Bakari rounding out your 23 car grid. Pace car heads down the hill. It'll head for home this time through. 20-minute races times 2. It's about 21 laps around here with lap times just shy of a minute.
Yeah, they get around here in a hurry. As I said, it is absolutely relentless craziness, and I can't wait for it to get started with this new MX5 platform, at least for the full Sin Sims League. Wait for it. We are ready to go racing, and we are green, and a very even start, or so it seems, with Josh Soto doing a nice job. Brock has that outside line. Can he carry a bit more speed? No. You can see right there, Soto ate a lot of that inside curb and just dove and uses every bit of road on the exit, Kyle, but it paid off.
Yeah, a little contact there. Cam Evan got pushed and then pushed somebody else, got a little damage on the nose. We've seen that affect the drafting ability of these cars. Little contact, Elliott Burton in the 2 of Dylan Lee. We're 3 wide on the Paul Newman straight. On the far right there is Eddie and Anderson in the 147. Tight squeeze here.
Look at Andrew Gilliland. He saw, and there's the off. Dylan Lee, big contact, and we've got the big one.
Oh, man, right at the top of the hill, blind corner there. We'll look at that one in a little while after we get the rest of this sorted out. That's the absolute worst place to get hooked dead left into that tire bundle there at the uphill.
Woo, look at that. Rice Pudo way off track. But of course, that's an area where you can just let it flow like that. And if you don't overreact, you can make it work. What really, I think, caused that little incident was, and it wasn't like he caused it, but Andrew Gilliland, with those 2 guys in front, started rubbing on each other and faded a little wide. And he said, well, I'm going to go to the inside. And he was clearly alongside, and I think it was just Lee on the outside didn't quite catch it. There you can see Andrew, and there's that touch.
Yeah, oh man, what a hit there. Back across the road. And I think that's Joshua, the 50 car of Stephen Blethen that got caught up in that as well. He just spun to miss it, but man, that's a hard direction change there.
That's a big one. And yeah, I tell you what, when you may look at this track, it's a 1.5 miles. Do you really ever get going fast? Yes, you do, because it's very much a momentum track. Oh, big tag there too. But it's a huge momentum track, so once you get spooled up like Joshua Clatterbuck was, you're moving. And if something happens like that off that Lee had right into the barriers, that is a seriously nasty smack.
Yeah, Nicholas Rice Pudo started 3rd, dropped a few spots in the early going, is now behind Cam Eben. That front end damage doesn't seem to be holding him up, but he's moving forward here and actually applying some pressure to the back of Beans Forster and Skip Rock Jr.
Yeah, look at that, sticking the nose down inside of Beans. And you wonder, with that little bit of damage here, remember, this is primarily right-hand corners. And if you get a little bit of damage and it knocks your toe a little bit, he could be struggling in that left-hander, but he could be really good in the rights.
Up over the crest, hear the revs climb. I love that about Lime Rock, just the intensity, how quickly the elevation changes from up to nowhere. And you just hear the car go wham over the crest every time.
Exactly.
If you got enough power, you get air over there, but these cars not quite.
Rice Pudo glued to the back now of Evan. Does he have enough in hand to try and move down into Big Bend as we go underneath the bridge on the Sam Posey Straight? And nope, couldn't quite put it together. And I wasn't aware of this, but you told me that that big runoff area down in turn 1 at the exit of Big Bend, if you get it wrong, that was originally not designed as runoff area, was it?
No, so you can see right at the top of the screen, that runoff area that goes straight off into turn 1, there was originally supposed to be a longer configuration. The course that we have now was supposed to be the short course, and it was supposed to run up into the hillside, and there are drawings of it online if you look it up and sort of see the original plans, but for whatever reason, I think it was funding and land acquisition reasons that they had trouble, finishing the job. So they've left that little strip of pavement as runoff, but there was much grander plans for Lime Rock. And you always wonder, had it been a longer course, had there been more racetrack, would there still be IMSA prototypes, for example, here today? So you always wonder how that would have changed history.
Yeah, well, I remember when Butch Leitzinger in the American Le Mans Series days when they were talking about not racing. Yeah! Whoa, little nudge there. Beans doing the gentlemanly thing, checked up a little bit and lost 2 spots as a result, but now he dives back under Rice Pudo, right behind Cam Eben there.
Rice Pudo got on the curb there at turn 4, which is pretty rough. The curbs around here kind of depend on the corner, the apex ones. Big Bend, you can get all over them. In the uphill, you don't really want to touch that one, nor the one at turn 4. West Bend is also a little evil, but there are other places you can really clobber them and use them. But you have to know, how the car is going to react and bounce. See Andrew Gilliland take a chunk of it there.
Yeah, man, some of them just totally unload things big time. And Andrew has had a really good race so far. A little bit of damage on the front, but he's been pretty aggressive fighting his way up through the field. Look at that.
Actually kept the car on the ground pretty effectively, I'd say.
He did.
Up to 6th from starting 9th, so +3, and he's got more out the windshield.
He absolutely does. Behind him, up from a little bit farther back, too, is Deacon Greenfield. Look at this. Trace Hans fighting his way up through the pack, and that was on Jose De Las Casas from dead last now up into the top 15. Nice move.
Trace qualified 6th, but started from the pits. I'm not exactly sure if he missed the grid or he always planned on starting. Usually, if you're going to start from the pits, you wouldn't bother to qualify. So he must have just missed the grid. So he's got his work cut out for him, but he's up to 15th. And unfortunately, it is hard here without the long straights of something like Road America to keep the field grouped tightly together. So the progress here is probably going to be less so than at one of those bigger tracks.
Yeah, it's a really good point. And just love watching him through this diving turn. Again, you can see Soto using a massive amount of track. And that little tap from Beans on Skip that knocked Skip a little sideways and had Beans check up has given Josh Soto darn near a second lead on Brock and the rest of the pack. And this is a track where you might just be able to make a little breakaway.
Yeah, he's doing a nice job. 8/10 that's a lot for a line rocket with a Miata group. So if he can get that north of 1 second, I'd say he's home free. But that doesn't mean that these other guys can't find a little more pace. Last time by, Soto did a 57.8. And there are drivers like Nicholas Rice-Buda that just did a 57.6. So there are drivers behind him going quicker.
And interestingly, yeah, I was just looking, James Newell in 13th and now Trace Hansen 14th. They are running about a second quicker than the group of 5 that are up in front of them. There comes Trace. And you can see Newell is already glued to the back of, I think he got through on, no, he's racing Higgins. And then Seth Spolman in front. So he is marching through the field as well. He had a great qualifying run, but then plummeted with that accident back to outside of the top 15. He is fighting his way back.
Yeah, textbook move here out of turn 7 on the front straightaway, get to the inside. A little later on the brakes here into Big Bend. But we're going to watch Higgins try to defend on the outside, but he ran too wide and got himself off into the grass.
That's going to give Trace maybe an opportunity because, again, this is such a momentum track, and you run wide, you have to give a little bit of a lift. It's so costly in terms of time. And here that, like anywhere, but here, especially on this short track, that directly translates into distance on the track.
West Bend, Cam Evan clobbers the curb. We've seen Cam be really fast. Finishing races has been a bit of a challenge for him in the past.
Look at that rotation when he turned in.
I saw that. And it's going to hold him up a little bit, but how much is Beans Forster going to fight? They know that Soto's up the road and gaining time, so they need to stay orderly if they want to run him down, and they're doing that. They've actually made some ground on Soto the last 2 laps.
Yeah, and remember, Beans with Rice-Buda well behind him. Cam did not here. Forster and Soto, when you look at where they are, they're only separated by 4 points in that 3rd and 4th. Soto 3rd, Beans 4th. So, and believe me, they keep track of the points. They know what's going on.
Well, they sure do, and they'll be, micro-calculating that for the rest of the season.
Exactly.
And we're at the point where, 7-8 rounds into the season, you kind of know the general trajectory that you're on. And if you're up in the top 5, it is absolutely worth fighting every single position. If you're down in 10th, 12th, 15th, things are getting harder and harder to justify the idea of a championship. But the top 5 are so close that, I think there's a lot of opportunity for, those towards the front to make up ground, especially when people are missing events at a higher rate than they typically do.
Yeah, absolutely. And watching Ian Anderson working over Miles Brown here up when we jump back up is, Evan gets the nose underneath. And right now, Brock, he's going to have the inside. Evan not giving him a lot of room, but, you have to make it possible, but you don't have to make it easy. And, that was really well played by Evan. He gave Skip enough room from the edge of the track to his car for Skip's car and a piece of paper, so.
Beans used that opportunity and to try to set up Evan, but then Rice-Buda's going to take advantage of that side-by-side in the uphill. That's tough to do.
Yeah, Nicholas really, really nice there. Just made sure that Beans had enough place to run. Now he's got the inside, and he's going to have the inside of the diving turn. You really don't want to be side-by-side down through here. But as I say that, Evans gets in and just gives Brock a little tap.
And I can't believe that Brock saved that. Oh, huge block from Evan on Rasputo.
Yeah.
Nicholas won't be having that. Had overlap for a moment. Is he going to send it down the inside? It's getting fierce up here.
Yeah, it really is. And it was. I went through the driver's meeting notes, and Andrew really made a big point about you can defend, that's one move, but if you block, you will get penalized. And Evan right there, that was really close, Kyle.
Yeah, we'll go back and look at that here in a moment once the dust settles on this fight. I'm not convinced that we're done. All that happening, have a look at this. There's your race leader, Joshua Soto.
See ya.
3 seconds back is the rest of this group.
Yeah. Well, when you're side by side and tapping each other and sliding through corners, you're nowhere near running as fast as somebody who's really quick can do on their own. So let's go back and look at that.
Yeah, so this was coming down the hill. This is when things got a little spicy.
There was the tap.
Yeah, let's see if we can let's see if the tree's clear, give us a clearer view of this. Well, that's not the greatest angle. Let's try that again.
So Nicholas, watch here, Rasputo makes the move. That's a block.
That's a block, so that we'll see how that gets handled post-race, but that certainly is going to draw the ire. And Rasputo will be, on the button saying something about that likely.
Oh, you bet. You bet he will.
And the difference for those that aren't familiar with, the term blocking, you're allowed to defend. What that means is if you're the lead car, you can take whatever line you want. You can make a change from the normal line once, but you have to do it in advance of any moves from drivers behind you. If a driver behind you moves over, you can't then make a decision in the aftermath of that to cover them off. That's considered a block. You have to make your move first, and Evan didn't do that there.
Right, and I will say, in defense of Cam, I think that contact, we saw that big loose moment in the downhill before. I think he's fighting a car that's not turning to the right well at all. And now he's protecting as Rasputo, going to try the outside, but of course you get outside and you might get pinned, and here comes Beans. I think Rasputo's got enough mojo around the outside here. Ooh. And Beans will return that favor when Rasputo gave him room, and Rasputo able to take that spot. That's respectful racing. Happened in the uphill when Nicholas gave Beans room, and happened right there.
Perfect example here. This is defending. He makes his move first, and then Rasputo follows. So just great back-to-back, lap after lap to show the difference. But great clean racing there. Rasputo up to third place. Leader's gone and gaining lots of time. So Soto, as long as he keeps it on the road and stays out of trouble, that's a foregone conclusion. Second place, though, is a hornet's nest, and they're stinging.
Oh, man. This is, as Darcy Schrader used to say, this is a wreck that just hasn't happened yet. And that's what it's looking like. And again, you can see just that little bit of a struggle there by Cam trying to get the car to work. And Rasputo popped down to the inside, but he lost what little draft there was. Now Forster's going to go to the outside. The question is, can he keep that overlap? Look at the speed. Rasputo rolled there for just a second, Kyle.
So West Bend is really two corners. Oh, a little contact there between Forster and Rasputo. But West Bend's two corners that you sort of treat like a late apex. So you can kind of throttle up in between them, but you saw him have to get out of the throttle again to make the rest of the turn. So he had the right idea to try to clear him, but it didn't work.
Yep, and Brock coming up, and look who's right there. Andrew Gilliland has joined this scrap, and he's going to get a little bit of a run now on Brock. He might be in position to sneak through. Brock going to try and roll speed. Gilliland taps the curb, slips over, just a little bit of a rub, but I think that was actually just pretty good racing, and you can't do that. Two abreast through the diving turn, and those two guys made it work.
I love using the "you can't do that." I've had that a couple of times, and it's always when they're four wide or more is when that gets pulled out. But Andrew Gilliland making a move here on Skip Brock Jr., and he's going to have
got
this.
in too hot, didn't he?
Yeah.
That time. Brock's going to be scrapping here to try and to stay in front of, is that
Deacon Greenfield?
Is that right behind him? Deacon Greenfield having a hell of a run here.
He started deeper in the field, 12th, so he's made some great progress.
Solid run for him. And I was just looking at some of the stats for Deacon here, and he's put up, when he's run with us this year, 5 top 10s. And he's been a pretty consistent qualifier, but boy, I'll tell you, he has put on a drive today.
He has, and despite those top 10s, he's also had a number of DNFs or get caught up in other people's issues too, which has sort of balanced out the good, unfortunately. But he has the potential to run up front. We've seen that in seasons past.
Do you think that Skip, that little contact that he got from Evan, do you think that just disrupted his momentum and that's why he dropped back, or do you think that might have hurt the toe at the back of the car? He just seems to be fading.
Yeah, the contact, I don't know if they made wheel-to-wheel contact enough to knock the rear ends in these cars, or in iRacing in general. It takes, the difference between completely broken and fine is pretty big. So, there's not usually a lot of minor damage that iRacing will give you despite wheel-to-wheel contact. So I think it's probably okay, but just getting shoved out of the groove and kind of get your rhythm messed up, probably a bigger component to that. Otherwise, I think the car's okay.
I was just looking, and his lap times are right in the mix with most everybody else. And when he got tapped, I mean, he was way off track. And that just nulls your momentum so much.
Evan swinging across the road there, trying to dissuade the draft. Now,
look at Beans. Dives down to the inside. Rice Pudo. This time it's Beans firmly up front, or in front, not up front.
Oh, Rice Pudo. I thought he was going to go. Beans has gone to war this season, hasn't he? He's not sitting around watching these boys play anymore. He is firmly in the battle, and he's, throwing lower percentage moves than we've seen Beans make in the past, but they have paid off this season. So I really like the aggression we're seeing out of Beans, because it's not reckless aggression. It's calculated aggression.
Yeah, I agree. And, we've sort of seen the same thing from Rice Pudo, haven't we? And he told us early, he said, I'm going to be aggressive and go after it this year. And there is, folks, you hear somebody talk about it racing, being aggressive. You could be aggressive without being careless, reckless, or stupid. And these guys are certainly the former, and they're really showing it here. Oh, Beans, nice run on Cam.
Yeah, this is going to be a battle that they're going to treat this like it's the lead. I don't care if it's for second. They might as well be for the win when the leader's so far up the road. And remember, this determines where you start for the second race, which we're going to get to in just a few minutes. So,
wow, this has flown by.
It has.
I just was watching the way that Evan entered Big Bend, turn 1, and he had to turn in really early. He had to really slow the car down and then rotate it. So I think he's fighting something from that early contact for sure.
Yeah, there certainly could be. You can definitely see the damage on the 155. Big curb jumps at West Bend. They're all off course in the dirt. This place will look like Laguna Seca with 10 extra feet of pavement around it.
It's unbelievable. Well, that clearly doesn't hurt their speed, and we saw Burkhardt do that last year frequently, and it worked.
Yeah, it is. It's like the Appalachian Trails in the woods here. They're making a new one out of turn 7.
Absolutely, they are.
One thing iRacing is adding next build, which will be in about a week and a half time. They're adding debris flags, which currently in iRacing there's no red and yellow debris flag, but with all this new grass and mud and marbles, they're finally adding that flag. It is just advisory only, but interestingly they said it was part of a reformed effort to eventually bring the full course yellow system to road racing.
Oh, okay.
Which is something that we've needed and not necessarily in a series like this, but in endurance racing. There's no full course yellows currently in iRacing, and there's lots of effort focused on debris and yellows and crashing in general, which part of the game.
It is. And the more you think about this, as Full Send Sims does, as a training tool for the real world, the more realism you could bring in like that, the better.
Absolutely.
And that's the idea here. And again, you see Evan having to really turn in early. That just overslows him. He fights, and he's a little wide on that turn. Oh, Beans is there, but
turned into him, and he's going to go for a ride.
Very costly. Oh, just missed getting that tire. Did he cut a tire?
No, I think he might have damaged the left front, but he is back rolling. But he got all sorts of grass and things on the tires, but he just turned in a little too soon right here. Bam.
Yeah.
Oh, and he missed a gear too. That was the other component.
Okay. At least he saved it. Rice Pudo. Roll, and I'll tell you, the last couple of laps, as the white flag comes out, Rice Pudo has been the fastest car on the track. Now this time by he's not, because of all of this absolute insanity. Ooh, big wiggle there. Evan Does he float wide? Somehow he held on to it, Kyle.
He was deep in the ABS there. That was probably why that car was wiggling. Rice Pudo stayed to the right, tried to outbrake him, couldn't. They have about a mile left to sort this out for P2.
Yeah, and for Beans, that's going to be a costly moment in terms of the points. Soto up the road by almost 5 seconds. So for Rice Pudo, if he can get around on Evan here, he's really going to stem the flow, and he gets a great run. Dives to the inside in the climbing turn. Evan has to give him the room. They're side by each up the hill, Kyle.
This is going to be tough. West Bend's hard to do side by side. Rice Pudo has to back out. Soto's going to come down the hill, pick up the checker, but Greg, the fight's for second.
It is, and it is a beauty here. And let's see, because we know that Evan's struggling a little bit. Did Rice Pudo get a run here? Evan goes to cover. It's going to be a drag race to the line. Rice Pudo coming along. Evan has just enough pace to hang on for second. And Rice Pudo comes through 51 thousandths of a second off of Evan's second spot there. That was so close. Brock in fourth, Beans hanging on to fifth.
Wow, that was awesome, that last lap fight between those two. Joshua Soto got almost no camera time once he took the lead.
Well, that's his fault.
Yeah.
That was a hell of a drive by Joshua. Just perfectly well judged. Got him, once he got it, was about an 8/10 of a second margin. And the other guys, they scrapped a little bit that one time, and it just ballooned. What was it, up to about 2 seconds, and that's when he had it. That was game over, really.
Yeah, only a brief moment to look at the results here before we switch on over to race number 2. But Soto, Evan, Rice Pudo, Skip Brock, Forster, your top 5. That was a costly mistake by Forster.
It was.
But I mean, if you think about it this way, if he didn't turn in early, he still probably would have lost that spot because the next couple corners were all rights. So if you don't complete that pass at the left-hander, it's unlikely you will complete that pass.
Well, that's true, but at that point, if he had, I think, had he just said, okay, damn it, and just checked back, he would have lost that pass, not 2 more spots,
Right.
So, that's the problem there. But, wow, what an entertaining, and what a race for Josh Soto. But really, to me, the 2 best drives of the race were Gilliland and Greenfield. From where they came up, that was some really solid driving.
This is a harder racetrack than a lot of the ones on the calendar to make passes on. And, while we love watching the racing here because it's so close, the closeness doesn't mean that it's any easier to pass. And so, progress at Lime Rock is harder than progress at Road America. So they've all done a really nice job. And next week we head to Road Atlanta. That's a much easier place to pass. And we go to Sonoma. That's kind of back the other way where it can be tricky. Then Mid-Ohio, which is sort of somewhere in the middle. Summit Point's coming up. VIR, one of my favorites. Road America and Watkins Glen. And some news on, I can't say anything about Sonoma just yet, but I know that VIR and probably Road America will have those new 3D curbs that iRacing's been working on in that next build. So Road America in particular is going to be fun on there with the curbs all redone.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you make a good point because the one thing that this track doesn't have that every one of the other ones that you were just talking about doesn't have is...
Whoop, I lost you, Greg. Doesn't have what?
It doesn't have that long straight leading into a really tight braking zone.
Yes.
Where you can make that big pass. Here, you've got to set it up and work it for laps. And it's usually into Big Bend, isn't it?
Yeah, it usually is in that first corner. And it's not necessarily a given that you need the inside there, though. You can really make it, the outside work. If you can keep the overlap through here and have the run into left-hander, but if you don't get it done there, then you lose your opportunities. So you really get a couple of shots to complete it, and once you hit 3 strikes, you're out. By the time you hit turn 3,
exactly.
So you got to get it done before then. I find that turn 4, the right-hander leading onto the Paul Newman straight, and West Bend in particular are very single groove. You got to kind of get nestled into the banking. The uphill, you can get away with the outside run there because of that runoff, but those other 2 corners, they'll bite if you're offline.
No, they will, seriously. And especially if you come through West Bend, you're on the outside and the guy inside tags you. I mean, you just spear off into that bridge.
Yeah.
That's when you're running side by side and you're on the outside there. Well, you better have immense trust in that guy or gal that's on your inside. But the thing that I love about this track, being only a mile and a half, with no big, hard braking, overtaking area, is, I call this, high-speed chess. And this is maybe more so than a lot of other places, kind of like Willow Springs in a way, only just tighter, where there's no one big place where you just stomp on the brakes and you can make a pass. You've got to get creative and you've got to set it up for laps.
You do, and I think that what I love so much is that, those big apex curbs we talked about, you can't clobber them everywhere, so it's all about who can be the most precise. How close can you get to it without touching it? Because you want to be nice right up against those concrete curbs, but not on them. And especially coming down through the diving turn 7, if you can get on the throttle just a tenth of a second sooner than the guy ahead of you, you will have a run onto the front straightaway. So the precision that's required to find an advantage around here is what makes this place so fun to drive.
Well, I think you're right. It's been said many times over the years, hasn't it, that getting to 9.5 tenths here in terms of a lap time, pretty easy.
Yep. That
last half a tenth, exactly because of what you're talking about, that little nuance, that's what makes this place challenging. And, you alluded to it earlier about the prototypes. And when ALMS was racing here and they decided they maybe weren't, they started talking about the reasons not to. It's short, it's narrow, there's no great overtaking spot. One of the reasons I love Butch Leitzinger was Butch said, that's exactly the reason we should be racing prototypes here. That's the challenge. Come on, And they were insane when they did run around this place. So.
Yeah, that was a different era. I think the first time that we came here in 2022 with Grid Life, the event's called Circuit Legends. It celebrates, automotive and motorsports history from the 1980s to now. And as part of the marketing effort for that, I took the Nissan GTP ZXT for a couple of laps, and we posted that to Instagram just to show how crazy it was back in the day when you were running, 46-second laps in a prototype.
Oh, jeez.
I mean, unbelievable. And we've seen cars at Grid Life get to around the 50-second mark in the unlimited categories there, which is just flying.
It's absolutely incredible. And, you think about the times, that we see from the cars that race here currently. Just think about this for a minute, folks. In 1993, P.J. Jones and one of the All-American Racing Dan Gurney Eagle Mark IIIs lapped this place at 43.112 seconds. I mean, seriously.
That is just crazy. What's also wild is you look at like the lap time record marks. There's actually a plaque on the back of the pit building that shows the lap times as it fell, and it's been sitting there since 1992, as you said.
Yes.
And and no one has claimed another spot on the plaque since. And there are spots for someone else to claim it, but not in or at least not in a sanctioned race has anyone gone faster than since 1992. I wasn't even. My parents hadn't even gotten married yet.
Isn't that crazy? And here's the thing. The closest anyone got it was an LMP2 car, and it was one of those glorious Penske Porsche RS Spyder Evos. In 2007, Ryan Briscoe lapped at 45.3. That's as close as anybody's ever gotten. And we won't see those kind of times around here again.
No, I think even the modern GTPs are so much heavier than those LMP2s. I think that would be a bigger deal than the extra horsepower they carry. But
absolutely.
Maybe the car that could have done it that probably will never get a chance to is the Porsche 919 Evo that they ran at the Nordschleife and Le Mans to try to break all those records. Kind of unrestricted LMP1, but they didn't take it here.
Nope. Never made it over here.
Would have had a hard time keeping them on the ground, probably.
Literally. I can only imagine it over the climbing turn there, uphill. They would have been running the chicane for sure, I think.
Probably got $160 on the uphill.
No kidding. Keep an eye here, folks, on the guy starting in 10th, the number 53, Trace Hance, right there in that blue and orange, baby blue and orange car. Remember, he started dead last, finished 10th. In that previous round. While we were talking about Andrew Gilliland, who obviously did a great job in Deacon, Trace was even more phenomenal, and he starts way farther up.
Yeah, not only did he start last, he started from the pit lane, so he didn't even get to start with everybody else, but he qualified 6th, just didn't start there, so we know he's at least 6th quick on a single lap pace, but what's he have for the field in this second race of the evening, final round of round 8 of the Full Send Sims SMX Series?
Yep, and the other question is now that we, certainly we're going to see Cam Evans' car be whole again and not have that nasty little tweak it had. It'd be fun to see what he might be able to do from the outside of the front row.
Yeah, a lot of dust and debris
Yeah.
on the track. I guess the track state didn't get cleared, Greg, so it might be a little dusty next time we get through. Here we go.
All right, Soto on the inside, Evan on the outside, second race, we're green! And look at Hans, immediately got a jump, goes around Burton, and coming up, man, that was a great start on the back, Andrew Gilliland already, and Evan gets around. Soto got not a great start, and Evan goes around him, and Rice Pudo has position here, heading into the left-hander.
Yeah, Soto got kind of swallowed up. He's going to be third after 3 corners.
Yeah.
That was a disaster start. Evan takes the lead in trouble. Daniel Higgins actually did a nice job saving that. It could have been a lot worse.
Yeah, and Spolman did a beautiful job of, he grazed him, but he got out of the way enough that he didn't cloud him. And we all continue here. Let's hope that continues. We just got to get through one lap here. Let's hope everybody can do it. Oh, I love that shot on the uphill.
A little side-by-side on the uphill run there. Miles Brown, Josh Bakari, Josh Clatterbuck, who didn't make it past lap 1 last time, but
Yeah,
Evan,
exactly.
Oh, Evan's way wide at 7. He's in the trees almost.
Yeah, he gathers it up, but look at the margin he's got already. And he had that before he went off. That wasn't, like, man, with a big incident in the back, Bakari's involved, it looks like.
Yeah, that's a big hit there. Oh, did he hit anything or did he just spin?
Wow, I thought he got that barrier pretty hard, but
Oh, he did
maybe
with
not.
the rear.
Yeah.
And how did that formulate? You know, I mentioned that there was a bunch of dust over there.
Yeah, there's Clatterbuck there. Oh, somebody speared off to the other side, too.
Yeah, that was. He just didn't realize that. I think that was Clatterbuck to his outside. Right here, Clatterbuck gets to his left. He doesn't realize it, kind of drifts back left, and that's how he got hooked into the wall. Man, what a mess.
Who was it that speared the other way? Was it the number 50 there?
I think it was Higgins.
Blethen?
Somebody hit pit lane. I think that was.
Oh, that's what it was. All right.
Newell's on pit road. Maybe it was him.
Okay.
Either way.
I just saw a flash. Yeah, but that kind of sizable, I know, that sizable margin that Evan had at the end of the first lap has evaporated, and Rice Pudo is running him down. Brock now solidly in third with Beans in fourth.
Yeah, I think Skip Brock Jr. and Beans Forster would be wise to sort of work together for a moment just to close the gap to second, because Rice Pudo and Evan, if they were watching the last race, they got a little physical towards the end, so there will be a battle for the lead that they should tack onto the tailpipes of.
I would think so, and right now we got a recovering Josh Soto, the pole sitter, sitting in sixth spot, and we'll see just how long his patience lasts. He's got Gilliland right there in front of him. There comes Josh.
And Trace Hansen is back here.
Oh, look at him. Hasn't moved up a lot, but he's, oh man, that's brave. Got inside of Deacon, got Deacon wobbling a little bit, but Deacon, beautiful save by Deacon. And hey, got that curb monstrously hard.
I don't know how he kept it on the pavement after hitting it that hard. That was a huge hit. And here comes.
There you go.
Trace Hansen.
I think he got, there was enough that he had to breathe it. There goes Trace.
Josh Bakari has gotten a black flag. I don't know what for, but this is something that my timing software has recently added. I haven't been able to see black flags in the past, but I can now.
Oh, interesting.
I don't know what for though.
Yeah.
Dave Perez, Stephen Blethen having a little scrap back and forth.
Yeah, they are. Great little scrap here.
Blethen was out on lap 1 last race with that uphill crash.
He's up to 15th now. I'll tell you, one of the best graphics out there is either Bakari or Beans' car. You look at the driver door, and they have, I mean, look at that. It's just a sim. It's just perfect.
You line it right up, right there. You can see the helmet poking over the top. That's great.
Awesome.
That's great. Back up front, and it's 4-horse race for first place.
Yep, it is on, isn't it? Ooh, for a second I thought Evan had drifted a little wide, but that momentum, same story for Rice Pudo. And here's that tricky little left-hander. The one thing about, in the real world, you come to Lime Rock, you usually set your car up to be really good in the right-handers, throw a little wedge in it, stagger, whatever you can, and you just, you just survive the left-hander. Here, all the cars are identical. So it's all in how you drive it.
Yeah, identical and neutral. So you've
good point.
You got equal handling left and right in theory. but that's not necessarily what you always want. It's a great point. And you're also, I mean, you set up the suspension in a certain way that as it compresses, it will help you turn. But, you know, when you set it up so neutral, you're kind of giving up some performance. And the ability for a driver to adapt to, you know, how the car is handling changes in those compressions, that can make the difference too. Here's Rice Budo again, has a look at Evan, but not enough overlap to make the pass.
Yeah, sometimes that nasty thing called bump steer can be your friend. Yeah. But it's just, you know, we saw, you know, as you said, how intense this got. And again, Evan had a car that was a little bit wounded in that first race. We'll see just how he's going to deal with it here.
I don't think he's ever won a race in the whole SM or SMX Series, so this would be a first if he could hang on to it. He's been close, but not
no,
quite.
He's been very close. He had a couple of great runs.
Oh, Hans out wide at the uphill. There might have. He just kind of ran.
He was on the turn in.
Huh. Almost like he had a distraction for a moment because he sort of just drove over there.
Yeah, I wonder if somebody. Oh, but he's off again.
Yeah. Down to 11th. Lots of mess on the tires as far as grass and whatnot. But don't see any damage. I don't think there was anything else that led to that. But
I think there was somebody on his inside, and he just, you know, you take that look just long enough, and suddenly you've missed your turn in.
Yeah, very strange. But he'll drop down all the way to 11th now, unfortunately.
Ah, what a shame.
We are gearing up for a frantic fight because not only do we have these four, as soon as they start to get after each other, right behind us is Joshua Soto and Andrew Gilliland, and it won't take much to drag those two into it.
Yeah, Gilliland coming off of another fabulous race at what must be fast becoming his favorite track, Willow Springs, and showing that confidence in both races here thus far. Oh, Rice Budo, does he have overlap?
Yes.
Dives to the inside. Oh.
Took a swing and a miss. Called a strike on that, huh?
But I'll tell you, that was close to the corner of the plate there.
Didn't leave a lot of margin, did he?
No. Burton knew a little problem there. Not sure why he suddenly ended up offline, but it cost him. Here comes Trace Hance coming after Dylan Lee.
And then just behind that's Jose de las Casas in the 717. He's 14th up to 12th. Been slow progress for him today.
Yeah, it has, but
progress nonetheless.
Coming up, knocking on the door of the top 10. I'll tell you what, I think one of the what do you call it? You know, the driver who, if he has any luck, it's bad luck, is Dylan Lee, because we've seen some really good speed from him. Yeah, and then something consistently happens that knocks him out of the top 10.
Including at Willow Springs, if I recall. He was right in the mix there and got his elbows out a little bit. But, you know, as we've seen, we saw Camden learn this when he started racing Morgan Burkhardt very closely. If you get up here and you get your elbows out, you have to be strategic. They will be, and so is Soto. He snuck by Andrew Gilliland there.
That was pretty.
But my point is that, you know, some of these drivers, they see how aggressive it is. They come up there, start knocking fenders around, and they just get pushed out. You've got to be.
Absolutely.
It's not like Morgan and Camden are running into each other, you know, willy-nilly. Every single move is planned, plotted, and thought about before execution. So there is definitely a correct way to knock somebody out of the way. If I, you know what I mean? Like you're not trying to knock them off the racetrack. It's just a little helping hand.
Just loosen them up just a little bit, whatever you have to do. And and then Morgan is known for the overslow.
Oh, he's so good at that, driving everyone's cars from in front of him.
Oh, look at this. Rice Budo this time with a little help from Brock. Gets to the inside. And now Beans thought about going around the outside of Brock, and that is going to help Soto and Gilliland big time.
Rice Budo takes the lead. There's some lap traffic up the road there as well, so maybe that will factor in. It's really hard at Lime Rock once you start getting lap traffic in the mix. There is nowhere to hide at this track. I would consider Soto and Gilliland kind of firmly in this battle now. They're only 0.6 back. That's within striking distance. Ooh, Rice Budo a little wide there.
Oh.
Don't know if you.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead. I thought I lost you for a minute, but glad to hear you're back.
Yes, thanks. Yeah, and it's so much luck here as to when you catch traffic, and if you get them down the front straight where you could, go on by, that's great. You catch them into the left hand or the right hand. Look at that. Now that was a classy move by Josh McCarty. Just drove straight off the outside of the corner. Didn't get into these guys' way at all.
I suppose there's nowhere to hide, but you can certainly drive yourself into the grass and be out of the way.
You can do that, yeah. And he did, but look at this. Once Soto and Gilliland got a little bit of that draft, they're there. Yep. They're in this.
Yeah, they're in it, and they might have to wait for the blender to start blending the positions a little bit before they can dip the spoon in for a taste. But
look how wide Rice Pudo heads the exit of Westman. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, at a certain point, the blender drops into the cereal bowl, right?
Exactly. What a mess that'll make. Milk everywhere.
And we're past halfway already, Kyle. These races, it's so intense. They just absolutely fly by.
This one's been a little more orderly, I think, because the leader's still in sight. They've sort of been able to. There's a little bit more cooperation. Once the leader drove away the last race, it was just a free-for-all. No one cares about finishing second, so it just started.
Exactly.
It was I'll pass you anytime I want. But when you're right up on the leader, there's a little more strategy involved in staying put, and there's trouble for Ian Anderson and Trace Hans.
Now they both continue, but what happened?
Hans sees the door open, and a little bit of a late lunge there, and tags Anderson and just comes to a stop.
Did a nice job of not tagging him again. So we'll give him that little shout out. I'm sure he's frustrated after working so hard in that first race.
Evan's going to take it all the way to the grass.
Oh, what a move. And he got inside. Look at him pitch it. That was pitch and catch, Kyle.
Oh, man. What a move. Rice Pudo thought he had it covered. Oh, he's going to try to keep overlap into 3, but Evan's going to deny him that little push. Nose to tail into 3.
And game on.
I'd say so. That was cool. Let's look at that again.
Yeah, please.
I mean, we see Rice Pudo go defensive, but.
And watch at turn in the drift that Evan puts in here, folks. Watch this. Right there. Just throws it in.
That was cool, and we're going to cut back to see him coming down the hill. We'll see if Rice Pudo returns the favor. And Rice Pudo he almost went to the grass, but Evan found a lane. And so Rice Pudo knows now if you leave him enough car width, he's going for it.
I think that time Rice Pudo's run wide there may have. Oh, look at Beans, got a great run. He's going to make the move down on the inside of Skip Brock Jr. He's got position, but Skip going to try and just stay put around the outside. He's doing it, at least so far.
He's got to get it here in the left-hander. If he doesn't get it here, he might even lose a spot to Soto.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, I think Beans had the room to close that door a little bit more.
Yep.
And here we go. Yeah, you called it.
Yeah, if you don't get it done by the left-hander, then it's game over for that spot and probably lose you 1 or 2, because here comes Gilliland now with a run.
Is Brock going to try? No. Oh, but he runs wide. Gilliland jumps to the inside. Gilliland thinks about going down the inside of Soto. That was optimistic. I'm glad he decided to get out of it.
Yeah, that was a little dicey, but I mentioned,
Oh, they touched.
You see, Brock is now down to 6th after trying to get that spot for P4, so it didn't work out the way that he hoped. I was going to mention, this happened a lap ago now because things happen so fast. The last time we went into 1, Rice Pudo pulled out a line. He wasn't in position to overtake Eben, but he pulled out a line and then stomped on the brakes a full marker early. And I was wondering if he was trying to get Eben to drive in there too deep and pull the old fake on him, but Eben didn't even flinch. When Rice Pudo pulled out a line, he knew he couldn't brake from that far back and just stayed put.
Yeah, he read that perfectly, didn't he? Eben.
Yep.
Sometimes you got to be smart enough not to take the bait.
And Rice Pudo, I think, there's times when you go in there and you try to make the lunge, but I think maybe that's what he was assuming Rice Pudo, or maybe that's what Rice Pudo was assuming Eben thought he would do. Does that make any sense? You know what I mean? Like, because the aggression that you would anticipate, the guy'd be mad and would try to send it, but instead Rice Pudo kind of tried to reverse psychology him and brake early. It didn't work. That's the end of it.
Absolutely. Well, and I wonder if Evan hadn't seen when, Rice Pudo hadn't seen when Evan made that pass, that he just chucked it in there, was actually a little bit sideways and everything, and thought, boy, if I can get him to do that and just bite a little bit deeper.
Yep.
But Evan, as you said, had it covered.
Yeah, there's just a lot of, I know Rice Pudo's thinking about all those things. It might look like these guys are flying by the seat of their pants, but they are analyzing every moment.
You bet. And are you noticing that Bean seems to be missing the apex? I don't want to get into it here. Bean seems to be consistently missing the apex in the left-hander. It just is really...
Yeah, that's such a flat corner. If you carry any speed kind of beyond what the tires will take, you just push. There's not a lot of banking there. And there's a lot of camber here at this track that kind of puts you in the racetrack, and some compressions that help, but not in turn 3.
Rice Pudo got a great run this time in the downhill. Evan covering it. Rice Pudo going to pop to the outside.
All right, so watch Forster. Well, Rice Pudo had to bail out early. But as I say,
he did.
Forster still might have a shot at this spot. Watch the crossover here, because he's going to set up for the exit of 4. But Rice Pudo got right back on line to protect that.
Yeah.
But that's such a flowing section. It's easy to make a mistake in turn 3 and then have it carry to the backstretch.
And that's what you have to do as a pursuing driver, is trying to get that guy in front of you to make that little mistake where he just, the car walks a little bit sideways and you can jump inside. And these guys so far have really done a brilliant job of covering it. Now, this is where Rice Pudo got a tremendous run last time. Beans is closer than he was. So is Beans going to be able to give Rice Pudo a little bit of help here?
Yeah, it's not going to be enough this time. Back a little too far. Running out of laps, though. 3 minutes, 20 seconds left. Look at the gain in the braking, though.
Yeah. Skip is really aggressive. Cliff is really aggressive on the brakes. See how much the car pitched forward when he jumped on the brakes? And, watching some of the other guys, it just seems like they might brake a smidge earlier, but a little bit softer, and the car doesn't unload quite as much.
Yeah, he's really leaning on the ABS. In this car, it's not as advanced as the GT3. Side by side in the uphill. Can you do it? Yes.
Look, Beans way out wide, trying to pinch Rice Pudo to the inside. He's there.
Oh, man. Can he? If he can stick on the outside here. A little contact.
Oh, bump. Oh. This is going to be crazy downhill. Nice job by Rice Pudo, giving Beans that little bit of room. Here comes Soto. He might split them both by the time they get down into turn 1.
Now, who brakes later than the other?
Oh, yeah. That's an out-deeping contest right there.
Yeah, if they don't get this sorted immediately, they're going to lose this race to Cam Evan, because he's already gained 0.7 of a second. Forster's through.
Yep, and Soto thought he had it. And now Rice Pudo's got inside position here, but Soto keeps the nose ahead. We might see another side-by-side run through the uphill, bud.
Rice Pudo's got to stop the bleeding. This is kind of what happened to Skip in the previous race, just getting swallowed up.
Yep. And he couldn't. He's dropped all the way to 4th.
Forster's going to have 2 laps to make up 0.8 of a second. And if Evan keeps running into the grass, maybe that'll help.
Yeah, that was way off track.
A little understeer for Forster. Had heard him have to lift.
Yep.
He can't have any distractions. No distractions from behind. He's got to focus all out the windshield now. 2 to go.
Yep, and I just love hearing all that debris. So real world here, but oh man, what's he going to be able to do? He needs to find a half a second.
Made up a couple tenths in the first 2 corners.
He did. Yeah, he did. He's closing it up a little bit.
Just got to get within 3 or 4 tenths of a second for the next run down the front straight.
All right, he needs to be perfect coming up the hill here.
Good sequence. Gain another 10th.
Yeah.
Evan's really wide. That'll cost him a little, and it has. All right, last lap, Greg. 0.6. It's a long ways back, but it's not impossible.
It's not impossible. Evan needs to be perfect. Beans needs to be exceptional. Soto needs to be lucky.
Yeah. I'd almost take that. It requires no
at
input.
this stage. Yeah, exactly. Man.
I think Beans needed maybe another lap or two.
I think so. He's down to under half a second here.
Oh, he's wide at 3. That's been his Achilles heel, as you pointed out earlier.
It really has been. Just cannot get that car turned there. Well, he's down under almost only 4/10. One mistake from Evan. Beans and Soto will be there.
4/10, 3.5.
Oh man!
I think he just needed one more lap. The progress he's made has been great, but
Soto was way off in the uphill, or in the entry to the downhill.
Last turn. Here we go.
And it is Evan, and I think he's got enough in hand. He does indeed. Cliff Evan will get the win. Cam Evan, I mean, over Forrester. Soto, a solid third after having been back as far as 6th. Unfortunately, Rice Puto, he's back in the 4th spot, and Skip Brock in 5th. And look at this little battle here. That's a great comeback drive by Dylan Lee, considering where he was at one point in this race.
Yeah, look, it started 20th.
Yeah.
And up to 7th.
That was fabulous. Greenfield right there as well. Burton in 9th. Wow.
I think this is Cam Evans' first win in the full Send Sims league.
I think so.
And he had to earn it.
Oh boy, didn't he? And I'll tell you what, look at that margin. This is unheard of, Kyle. Top 6 covered by 1.6 seconds, and then about 10 seconds back to the next group. That's how fast these guys were. And look at how close it was at the line.
And this is how he got the lead.
This is the lead, yeah.
Remember that big aggressive move to the inside of Rice Puto. This happened on lap 13, and he led the final 7. But it was just that surprise move to go all the way to the grass, and then that big lunge into turn 1 that you pointed out, this big sideways slide.
Oh, man. He got it done, and Brock popped to the inside, too.
It's big commitment to get that done.
Huge.
But it paid off.
Yeah.
All right, let's have a look at the race results.
And I think that move was when that hard braking he was doing really paid off. Beans, man, that's going to help after Soto finished in front of him in terms of the points here. Rice Puto not going to be happy with that 4th after having been in the hunt for the win. Skip Brock, top 5, but how about Gilliland? But in this one, Dylan Lee, what a drive.
Yeah, solid point stay there for those couple of drivers, both Dylan Lee and Andrew Gilliland, and they'll walk away with some decent points. Deacon Greenfield made it up through the field again, 8th place. Elliott Burton, Trace Hance, maybe miss opportunity today. A lot of pace, just couldn't keep it together in race 2 after the climb in race number 1. Ian Anderson, 11th. Miles Brown, Blethyn, after having a crash in race 1, recovers for race 2. And then down towards the tail, Joshua Clatterbuck, not his night, 2 accidents.
No.
And then I think similar for Dave Perez and James Newell out in the 123 after the opening lap. So those are your results. And we've got some drivers to chat with. But first and foremost, let's talk to Cam Eben because he started this race after finishing a very close second. Race 2, though, wins, and it was with an aggressive move down the front straightaway to the inside of Rice Puto. It got very, very dicey, Cam. Take us through that pass in those final 7 laps hanging on to the lead.
Well, it definitely had to be aggressive with Nick. He's a super good competitor, and it was a tough race to go up against him. But I knew that at this track it's difficult to pass, so aggression usually prevails. And this time I was able to get the lead and then let them fight behind me and come away with the win, so it worked out.
It really looked to me when you made that pass, you chucked it in there a little bit, and that car was dancing. That was just an absolute thing of beauty. Let's take a look at it once again because he took you when you went all the way down to the inside there, and it looked like he had you covered here. And then how deep did you go here?
I pretty much went a little bit deeper than him, which could be problematic because I was on the inside with the tighter line, but somehow we both made it through there. And I washed out a little and he gave me space, but it worked out. Once he went low to block me, I decided to try to get a little bit lower and get the overlap, and it worked out. So aggression definitely, but it worked out. So happy for a great race and happy to be back in the series and glad to have a good result.
Oh, we love having you in the series. Going back to race 1, did some early contact knock the handling of your car off just a little bit? Because it looked like you were struggling quite a bit in most of the corners here, the right-handers.
Yeah, when Skip and I got together, I
Yeah.
definitely had a bit of damage going on there. It hindered me a little. I also wasn't like super prepared for this race. It was pretty last minute to have this opening in my schedule to be able to race this. So really my first laps were straight into qualifying. So I was almost learning as I went. So the damage did not necessarily help, but also I was probably in the way just a little bit, still trying to figure things out. But I was ready to go for the second race. So happy to come away with a strong result.
Well, that makes the win in a second place even more impressive, man. Great to have you with us. Hope to see you in a lot more of these.
Yeah, thank you so much, Greg. And also want to thank Ready, Set, Sim. As you can see them on my beautiful blue and white car. Brand new partnership announced. They'll be with me for both my real life racing and my sim racing. So yeah, super excited to have them on board and hope to get some more good results for them.
All right. Well done. You made them proud, sir.
Thank you.
Looks great, Cam. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
All right, let's see. Next on my list, Beans Forster, second place in race number 2. Up onto the podium, Beans. Aggressive moves late in the race, but in making that pass for a second, maybe a lap short of having a shot at the win. Take us through race 2 tonight. That was the good one, and just a tenth and change short of a win.
Yeah, it's always so tough here at Lime Rock. It's like the Monaco of FSS, where qualifying is just so extremely important, and gaining those spots in kind of the early bit of the race and gaining them safely is so detrimental. Because it was extremely hard, because the last thing I wanted to do was, like, I had to balance the aggression versus the safety aspect, because yeah, I can go for a move and get a pass, but if I gain 2 points from it and I get a 5-point penalty from bumping somebody off, and it's counterproductive. And the penalty points are overall in the championship, so they affect your overall points, not specifically for your drop weeks. So they're even more detrimental in the long run. It's tough. Sometimes you just gotta kind of stick a toe in there and see if it plays, but you're always on the hook for whatever you do.
Well, I was just going to say, we sort of thought in that last lap that the amount of ground you made up on Cam, if you had one more lap, maybe you would have had a shot at it, because you closed down a second to about 4/10.
Yeah, that was in my mind as well. But sitting with the P2 at the end there and getting the fastest lap, I'm happy with what I did. Given the circumstances from starting 5th, I think it was kind of my best case scenario. I don't think a win was in the books for me tonight, just with how qualifying played out and from race 1. So I'm extremely happy. Super fun, super tough, because you're always on your toes every lap, every corner, because the field's just so tight.
Yeah, well, that was a great lap, too, a 57.6. But last thing here, it looked like in this race you were struggling just a little bit in the left-hander. Was that a car issue, or was it something else?
I think that was just a me issue, you know. Okay. I had, towards the end of the race, I had to time my downshift, because I use that downshift to kind of set the rotation of the car. And if I do it too early, then I'm overslowing the entry. And if I do it too late, then I blow the apex. And when you're as close as you have to be to the other cars in order to stay competitive at the front here, it's very hard to kind of lose sight of it, because there's no real braking reference. I'm kind of doing it mostly off of feel. There's no marker boards or any kind of distinctive objects, and it comes up on you so fast. So it was just me trying to find my rhythm and get my timing down, and not send Skip off like I tend to do sometimes.
Well, I mean, still in all, absolutely great run in that last lap when you closed him down. It sure made it exciting, Beans. Always love watching you race, man.
Yeah, it's always fun. I can't wait to watch the broadcast, guys. You guys put on a hell of a show.
Thanks, bud.
Thanks, Beans. Appreciate your time.
Thanks, Kyle.
And we've got Joshua Soto, race 1 winner here, chatting with us now. P3 in race 2. Josh, the start didn't go the way that you were hoping, it seemed.
Oh, yeah. Definitely have to look back at that one, but the first race and the second race, for the second race, it was just, try to get as many positions back as possible. We ended up getting a couple, but ultimately is not the result that I wanted.
Yeah, but that first race, one, just the drive that you had hanging on at the front, and then as soon as they had that one little battle behind, you opened up a quick 1.5-second lead, and
We lost you for a second, Greg.
you were dialed in that first race, Josh.
Oh yeah. It's just really just focus ahead and just not really pay attention to what's going on behind me. I just started racing. Just started putting lap times down.
Sometimes you got to fold the mirrors down, right, as they say.
Oh yeah, for sure. Because if you're looking in the mirrors, it's easy to get distracted, and even like a smallest distraction could throw off your whole entire lap. So it's just good to just stay focused and keep your head down.
And I was going to ask you too. I know the finish here in race 2, considering where you started, is frustrating. But as far back as you drop to come back and get on the podium again and get those points, you have to be somewhat pleased with that. It could have been worse.
Oh yeah, for sure. Definitely am pleased that I was able to get back to that podium position. I'm looking forward to the next race.
And a third win on the season, man. You're having a great one. Congrats.
Thank you.
Thanks, Josh. And let's chat with Nicholas Rice-Puto. Things got aggressive out there with Cam Edmond, especially at the tail end of race 2. Nicholas, P3 in race 1, though, on the podium. But race 2 kind of got swallowed up there at the end. Take us through those battles.
Oh, that was just a lot of pain. It was just frustrating the entire time. Finally out leading, and I made the mistake of leaving half a car length open on the inside, and Cam was going to take advantage of that no matter what. But it was a lot of fun, but very frustrating at the same time.
I can understand that, and it looked like you had that covered. And then he just, as you said, got all the way over there. And a little bit earlier in race 1, it looked like he threw a pretty good block at you, too. That had to be frustrating, huh?
That was late. I was pretty pissed off about that one. I wasn't so mad with the move to the inside. I thought that was pretty fair. But yeah, overall it was fun. It's me and Cam. I think Cam's 3-0 on me at Lime Rock. I raced him in the other MX-5, so I'll get him next time.
There you go. Obviously you are just continuing to accrue points. I said earlier in the show, that you just continue to finish up in the points, and that's how you win championships. You came in here with a 23-point lead. And I don't think you've done too much harm with that either. So frustrating, but what a great season, man.
Thank you. Yeah. I'm starting to look at points, just trying to get some consistent finishes after I think the last weekend, race 2, I killed myself on a curb, so I'm not going to do that anymore.
Live and learn, right?
Yeah. So
right,
looking forward to Road Atlanta. That should be a much racier track. It's very difficult to pass here.
Yeah, and Road Atlanta, boy, talk about a speed bowl. Can't wait for that one.
Good talking to you guys.
Thanks, Nicholas.
You too.
All right, Greg. Well, from one great North American racetrack to another, we had Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta next week out. One of my favorite places in iRacing for a whole host of reasons, but primarily because it's just one of the best passing racetracks that we get to go watch events on. And it has always treated us well every time we've gone there, and that's where we're headed next week.
Yeah, and I mean, it is just wickedly fast. And now with the turn 10A, 10B, you add another great overtaking area. The draft at this place for these cars should be just outstanding. And this is one of my top 3 favorite racetracks in North America, period. To me, it is just a brain strain kind of place. Kind of like this, just faster and longer. Can't wait.
Yeah, so excited to head back to Road Atlanta next week. But Greg, great round here at Lime Rock, and round 8 is complete. We'll reshuffle the deck on the points, and the battle will continue next time out, this time in Georgia. So final thoughts here at Lime Rock.
Yeah, just love the other racing here at Lime Rock. Obviously, the Red Georgia Clay is coming up if you run wide, and that's always fun to see fly up in the air. And looking forward to that a lot. Just a great venue. We sure appreciate everybody joining us here and watching our coverage of this great race at Lime Rock as part of the Full Send Sims iRacing Esports SMX League. Big thank you, as always, to Kyle Heyer and to Finian DeCuna, who just continues to do stunningly good work with these cameras. I'm Greg Kramer. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next Tuesday night at Michelin Raceway, Road Atlanta. It should be epic. See you then.